Welcome back to Foundry Talks. I'm Rachel Stoyanovsky, and in today's episode, we're diving into one of the biggest challenges facing independent hotels: how to reduce reliance on OTAs and build stronger direct booking strategies. My guest is Christine Malfair, founder of Malfair Marketing and a former hotel general manager who knows firsthand what it's like to wear all the hats. Christine shares how she made the leap from hotel operations to guiding properties through smarter marketing, why lean marketing is more effective than doing it all, and how focusing on the guest above all else leads to stronger results. Whether you're a hotelier feeling stretched thin or looking for practical ways to grow direct bookings, Christine brings clarity, empathy, and plenty of actionable insights. Let's get into it. Welcome back to Foundry Talks. I'm Rachel Stoyanovsky, and today I am joined with Christine Malfair, who is the consultant and coach of Malfair Marketing. So Christine, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Rachel, and Travel Foundry.
Absolutely. We're so excited to have you on the podcast. You have such a unique story. And so I would love it if you just gave everyone a little bit of background and how you made the pivot from a hotel general manager to a marketing strategist, and just tell us a little bit about your journey.
Yeah, great. Well, yes, I had been managing hotels. Prior to that, I was working on cruise ships, and I thought, I need to sort of lay roots. Like my friends were changing every 10 months. So going from cruise ship contracts. So I came to Western Canada, and really just, it was just the natural progression of like going from rooms division, like front office manager to rooms division, and then on to being general manager. And I did a hotel opening and was, doing that for some time, was managing the teams and owner expectations and so on. But at that time, I was also doing marketing, and we were an independent hotel that we had a conference facility and a restaurant, but there was a lot there, but we didn't have a marketing team. And so I was taking care of it. I was kind of tiptoeing into my office on Saturdays to do marketing for real, trying to
Oh my gosh.
stay like super low profile, like I'm not here. And do what level of marketing I could do at the time. And we had our front office manager at the time was doubling as a revenue. So we were like trying to squeeze all the juice out of every single person and position that we had. And that was a common story. And so I decided at that time that I had a life switch. I got married and I moved out of that whole, and it was like, a very busy tourism destination. I moved out of that destination. I thought, what am I going to do? And I knew that I had loved the marketing side of things, that I loved the results of what that effort meant. But I also knew that effort came at a cost for many hotel managers. And if they weren't doing that, what was their alternative? And their alternative was relying on bus tours, wholesale, OTAs. And so I thought, I think there's an opportunity here. And then the property management company that I was working with at the time, they said, we would love it if you did this. And so that's really like, that all started in 2010. So 15 years ago. Wow. And I've been working with, independent hotels, helping them in a fully done for you way, but now more recently in like coaching, consulting, advisory work.
Which is amazing. Yeah, I think we've chatted before, and I'm sure you know that it is just when you're in that hospitality operation side of things, you are just aware of all the hats. So I love that you've shared that your mission is to really help people put a specific plan in place so that they're not wearing all of the hats.
Yes.
So how do you see, like, how do you repeat that so that everyone or all of the people that you're coaching or consulting with, they can really put that into action to not be wearing so many hats?
Yes. Well, there's a term like that's common that I think is getting a lot of fatigue, like do more with less. And I think everybody's feeling that pressure of like, we're supposed to do more with less, but what does that actually mean? And for me, I subscribe to what I like to call lean marketing. And that's not doing all the things. if it doesn't make sense for our hotel to do it, we shouldn't be trying to check off the box that the industry says we need to have all these things in marketing. Let's do what's actually working. And so when we think back to a planning or the process that I think about, it's what makes sense here, what has worked. When I start working with a hotel, it's like, what has worked and where are the opportunities? And that's really the starting point of how I work with hotels.
Yeah. I'm curious, is there something that you have found that is really effective across all hotels, or is everything a little bit unique to each one?
Well, some of it's unique, but I think the principle, like sort of the outcomes are unique, but the principle is that age-old, a term would be product market fit.
Yeah.
It's really at the core of everything is really boils down to what I say, obsess about the guest. My whole framework is built on how are we putting the guest at the center of what we're doing. Because I remember hearing a quote about like most businesses have a love affair with their product or their service and an obsession about competitors. And so we're looking at ourselves and our competition, but not really who we're serving. And so I think that really clears up a lot when we just look at who are our guests. I know that's not an easy process, but it's one that I help hotels work through. Who are our guests? And then how do we do like the best for them in marketing that actually means something to them in experience and, connections and experiences that make sense for them.
Well, and we've talked a lot, we talk as our team, that's what the emotional connection that a hotel can make with a guest and with the experience they're having. That's what we feel like really turns them into a loyal and repeat guest. And it's really hard, I'm sure, to deliver that if you are so focused on all of the outside things and not really on who's coming in, who's spending the night tonight.
Right. Yeah. And I think all of those things can get really distracting.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Well, and especially when you're getting, a million emails and you're seeing what everyone else is doing and they're saying, look, you're missing out on all of this. You have to be doing this. And so it's hard to really stay focused. But I love you found that to be effective across everyone you've worked with. So you work with properties that are often really reliant on OTAs, like we said. And do you see patterns or something that consistently shows how that dependency developed? Like what's taking place that makes them so dependent on OTAs?
Well, I think there's a couple of factors that come to mind. I think on the operations side, I think if you have like a lot of transition or, another term is like churn, if there's a lot of turnover in your operation, that certainly contributes to it because that's the easiest lever to pull when you're, like, where do we go when we need bookings? And the default is that now, instead of alternatives like email marketing, let's go back to our list. Let's go back to the guests that love us and like us and like, want to hear from us again. But oftentimes it's, the OTA lever that gets pulled. And I think another aspect is really looking at how does that dependency increase is such a great question, because if you do pull that and you see some of the bookings come in, you're going to need to, and I think everybody conceptually knows this, but it's always worth repeating, is that I have an acronym that I like. It's the ABC, and it's in sales, that means always be closing, right? Always try and close the sale. But in marketing, that's always be converting. And so when we think about OTA guests coming, that's fine. They come the first time. But what can we do, of course, to be converting that guest to our own platforms and into our own, CRM and guest relationship and database? And I see, sadly, hotels, when their databases are 40% full or more of what I would call dead emails, where they're masked, OTA.
Like an Expedia email.
Expedia and Booking.com emails that just expire over time. And so just even replacing those with like capturing through the front desk, or maybe you have
at check-in, or
totally, that's the easiest one that everybody can do. Like maybe you can't get the slick technology that's, unmasking. All of these things are coming with AI, so that's great. But right now, the easiest way is asking at check-in and getting that and really helping your team understand why that's important.
That's such a great point. We actually just came across this not too long ago, and we were working with a client and exported their list from their booking platform. And we were like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. We have 18,000 emails. Like, hooray. This is going to be a really robust list. We ended up with 4,200, I think, out of the whole list.
I know.
And it's a little bit of a gut punch, but it's okay. That just means there's opportunity. And I think that's such a good reminder for teams. I mean, when they're checking in, it probably takes 30 seconds to swap out the email, and then you have a direct connection to them.
Yes.
Love that reminder.
Yeah.
Other than the commission costs that hotels pay to OTAs, what else what's like the real price hotels pay for OTA dependency that maybe they were not always thinking about? Like, I'm sure when they see it on paper, like, oh, this is only going to cost this much. But I have a feeling that there's a lot else that goes into that.
Yes. Yeah. There's actually 5 costs. But I'll just sort of highlight, I think the OTAs in the last 10 years have poured a significant amount of dollars into technology and programs, and built programs that keep them in their own loyalty systems. And hotels haven't built in loyalty to that degree. Now, will we build to the same, investment level? No, but still to not do anything even. And it's as simple as what we talked about, Rachel, which was just getting that email would make all the difference. So the ability to reinvite your guests back is critical. You can't do that. So that's a cost there. So now your cost is to get that, either you're paying the OTAs a second time, a third time. The guest loves you, but you're paying over and over and over to get them to return. And that's sad, right? Like first time hotels, okay, let's pay let's pay that acquisition cost, but let's not pay second, third, fourth time. And when I think about acquisition costs and sort of the domino effect of what's actually happening, is every time you pay that acquisition cost, that's money out of your own community. So when we think about the billions of dollars that are paid to commissions that go to these, global companies that don't stay within our community, what would it mean to have even a fraction of that being spent back in to either the hotel or within the community? It's huge. It is huge. And so I think when we want to think about sustainability, oftentimes people will think, oh, that means, we're not putting plastic water bottles in the rooms. But this is really, I think, where one of the biggest and understated impacts of OTA commission payouts comes, is in that sustainability piece for what it means for money out of the community.
I never would have thought about it from that lens. And I love that you brought that up. And it's such a good reminder that, even though we may not really see or feel it, imagine the difference it could make if we just brought them back a little bit more instead of having, losing them to these, like you said, these big global companies. It would be huge for destinations. That's such a good reminder. How do you help hotels reframe the value proposition of direct bookings beyond just cost savings? So do you share kind of what we just talked about with them to really help them understand the difference?
Yes, I think like when I first started, I was offering revenue management services as well. And I've never really escaped that, because knowing how to read the P&L from
It's so
from an
important.
operator's perspective, I'm always thinking like, what does, because oftentimes those OTA costs they're invisible in the financial statements. So I look at it, and I built a cash calculator.
Amazing.
Which is basically like, plug in your, how much revenue in each segment. And then you can see sort of, an overview. It's not exact down to the penny, but it's pretty close. I would say. Yeah. And in terms of like, if you look at a direct booking acquisition of, anywhere between 5 and 9%, or an OTA commission, like on a $5 million top line revenue, if I think the number was like 56% commission or something, is like $700,000 in OTA commissions paid out. So there'd be no marketing budget. Hey, it's like, here's $800,000. Like, and I know that we always, acquisition cost is a reality. I'm not trying to say like you can replace all of your OTA commission with that. But if we're just chipping away at it, which is what I often try to reveal to teams, it's like, if we just chipped away 10% at a time. So using those numbers, and I know it's hard to track without seeing, the spreadsheet in action.
Right.
But what that would mean to reduce by 10% is selling 2 less rooms a day. Just 2. Wow. And that's on a hotel that's about 90 rooms. Okay. So, So just selling 2 fewer rooms to the OTA, right. And that's not, and like sell it to your other markets, like your corporate or events or special interests like Smurf and so on, and then direct, of course.
Yeah. Can you share about an experience where maybe the team had no idea that much was going to OTAs, and just their reaction seeing that?
Well, it's pretty sobering.
I'm sure.
And I also think they're like, I don't know that it always like brings up the best feelings, right? Like I want to be very, like everybody, I have talked about on LinkedIn, the revenue tug of war that happens between a marketing team that is focused on direct or supporting like other business segments, and then a revenue manager who's just who I shouldn't say just, but traditionally have been just sort of pulling the levers on price and inventory. And so it's so important. I love that in the last, 5, even I think it's been longer, but in the past 5 years, I've seen more independents build more of a commercial team around the idea where we're not in this revenue tug of war anymore. We're actually in this, 4-legged race where we're all trying to like synchronize. We're all trying to synchronize towards this goal. So we're all working together. So if marketing is doing a program over here, we're not throwing up an OTA flash sale that then undercuts this. And this is where these problems, come up. So in terms of like how to share that number and look at an acquisition cost, I think it's always a bit of a shock, but I show that cash calculator, I'll be honest. There is a bit like, I would love to share that shock factor, but the second half of it is the hope. Like,
don't worry, this is where we're at, but we can get better. There's a solution.
And if we actually sold 2 less rooms a day, based on the numbers that I've input, we add $75,000 to the bottom line.
Amazing.
Like, that's what that means. And so they go, oh, like this is the impact. And I think we've talked about this before, because hoteliers are always told like, oh, reduce your OTA dependency, reduce how much inventory, reduce this. And they're like, great, got the message. Yeah. How do I do that? Yeah. So
it sounds like that it's really important for all the teams, obviously, to be talking together. And I think I shared this with you before, but I really being an in-house part of the marketing team, we weren't really exposed to forecasting or really what was happening in revenue. Top line stuff at stand up or, whatever. But we had a new director of revenue who said, no, marketing is coming to all of these meetings. We need to all be on the same page.
Awesome.
You need to understand the P&L. You need to understand where we need help and how we can help you and vice versa. So
That's awesome.
See that as something teams should be doing?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, all day. Yes. And I think there's a couple of reasons for that. One is it helps the marketer obviously understand their impact and what everybody's driving towards and be a part of that. Because I think marketing is often left on out on in this silo of, okay, you guys are just doing your thing and you're making things look pretty and you're working on campaigns and so on. But when it's fully integrated and the other team knows that you know the same thing they do, now you are viewed in a different light in marketing to be like, this is how we talked about this. They're aware of our goals and they're driving towards the same things we are, as opposed to they're out there trying to make things look pretty. Right.
They're just taking care of the social channels. That's all they do.
Exactly.
Yeah. We had, a very spot on experience. It was so great to be a part of that. And then to also feel like that the team felt like we were supporting them. Yeah. So in addition to just, being brought in and to feel like we were more included and integrated and had a good idea, we were all working together. It was nice, I think, for the team to feel like, oh, they get it. They're going to come up with something that we can drive in an email to help us with this need period or something. And it was nice to feel, I think, for the teams to feel like, okay, now I really understand. I got the support from my marketing team. This is great. It's just full circle. It's great.
Well, that's good. And kudos to them, whoever they are, for having that insight to bringing marketing into the fold.
Yeah. So you mentioned that most advice feels recycled. What's the conversation that hotels should be having, but maybe aren't? And maybe this goes back to what you were saying with they hear it all, they understand, like, hey, yeah, we do it, but then what?
Yes. Yeah. That is exactly it. I feel like, when I think the post that maybe you're referencing is like the old playbook,
Yes.
Because I hear the one side of you need to be doing this, right? And then so that part is loud.
Yeah.
And then there's a quieter message of, and here's why. But what isn't clear to them is the how. How. It's like what and why. But the how is very quiet and typically it's something that they already can do. That's what I found. It's something that they can already do. They don't need to add, I love technology. But it doesn't always, that isn't always the first place to look. It's, I love the approach of let's walk, then crawl, and run.
Yeah. I love it.
Yeah.
Okay. So walk us through a little bit of your approach when a hotel is ready to commit to building out their more direct booking strategy. Where do you start with them? Is it looking at kind of their P&L and the cash calculator? Is that kind of where you start, or tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, I think you have to establish your baseline.
Yeah.
Because you've got to know what wins look like as you go. So establishing how much of your market mix is coming in from which channels. And then, how is everything performing? And I do this in what I call the revenue roadmap. So I do a full assessment of everything on the online space, back end of analytics, how's everything performing? And I don't so much at that point dig into revenue pieces, but it does help to know how much percentage of their total revenue is, so that we'll be like, okay, well, is that a goal for you? Are you trying to, are you trying to move it down 10% and increase this other channel? Maybe it's corporate that they want to increase. So I think there's some different things. But where direct is concerned, yeah, that's a starting point. And then looking at like, well, where are the holes in the boat? Right?
What do we need to stop leaking right away?
Exactly. What can we fix? And a lot of times through the process of a revenue roadmap, I see it's typically in spend, where we're seeing like really low conversion rates. And it's like, because there's a lot of traffic coming in that's doing nothing. Like it's either not been targeted properly enough or, and so people are coming in and they're leaving. Like actually bounce rates are really high. The fact that they're not, staying on site for a while. So, and I know that a lot of those metrics are changing with AI. So we'll probably need to do this again.
Exactly. So is that an area where you've talked about like eliminating wasted effort and areas where hotels are just spinning their wheels? Is that with, maybe not super ad spend being too high, without really detailed targeting, it's not being as effective? Is that an area where you see that happening, or were you thinking about something else when you talked about that?
It's mostly ads. Like it's spend and it's it's targeting, where it's creating a lot of, it's creating a lot of traffic to the site that's not converting. So I look at conversion rates. I don't pay any attention to the impressions and all, clicks are, all those things, they do tell a story. But that's most commonly where I see things. And then we get into like website optimization, where it's like, how do we then, so we see that there's a problem there, and then how can we get that website, more than the digital brochure, more than the, this is a place where transactions happen, and certainly more experiential, especially in the age of AI and bringing in fresh content and stories and FAQs and all the things. If
you had complete freedom to design a hotel's marketing engine from scratch, what would that foundation look like?
Ooh. I don't think I've ever been asked this question. That's a good one. And it's a big one, but
no pressure. Sorry for the hardball question.
Going back to that product market fit. Like, I'm trying to remember we're looking, when you look at, I think it was the quote around like gaps in the market, or the market in the gap. And, I think that that's probably a big opportunity for that as a starting point. Yeah. It's like, because everybody is looking for something unique. There is a lot of the same, and people think they have to be different in really big ways. Like we have to be out there with something people have never seen before. And that's not true. You have to do things that aren't common. And common is actually very little service. So any amount of service is uncommon. So I like where we could lean into doing the uncommon things, which I think independents are really good at, which I'm enjoying, working with them. And again, getting to that, who are we serving? How do we serve them? What would make their day? Like just create a big list of like, what would make their day? Walk your property and find out and this is where my GM brain comes in, because I love walking the property and being like, what are problems in this space? Like, so in the lobby, what are people there to do? What are the people there, they're waiting. So there's certain times of day in a lobby, we know, like, so there's a check-in time of day. And then, maybe there's a waiting for the ski shuttle or waiting for the shuttle bus to come. Well, what's happening during that time that you could really be doing something that's uncommon, right?
Yeah.
And it's just small things like that. And then marketing is an amplifier. That's what it does. So marketing as a function is to attract, engage, convert, and nurture. And that's as simple as it is. So if marketing is a function of amplifying, getting those foundations right, and then, putting the marketing amplifier to work, would be great storytelling, social media, inviting your creators to come along, experience the story, share it with everybody in their audience. PR is going to be really important in the age of AI. And then thinking of your website as a concierge, like it goes from being a transaction point where now it's websites are going to be like actually fun and enjoyable. And like, I learned so much about this place and space. Like, imagine that on a hotel website. That's where I think we're going. So,
which is exciting for everyone.
So great. It's so great. But then reviews, like looking at reviews and how you can use reviews in your strategy, because as we know, AI is pulling reviews because it's unbiased. And there's ways to, GMs responding to reviews can double down on those great comments and get double the impression on those affirming comments. And make sure your reviews are actually echoing what you're saying in your marketing. So I know there's a lot there, but I
know the wheels are spinning like, oh man, there's so many things. But, really thinking back about, working in-house or just even experiences traveling, I love that you said it just doesn't need to be this massive lift. Just do something that is a little bit uncommon or unexpected, because that's what will stand out. And it reminded me, we had this big just bowl of apples on the front desk, and they were just complimentary apples. And the comments about, oh, I can just take this apple. It's just a free apple, something so silly, but that just people were really excited about it. And there's just little things like that. And I think it's such good advice to even directors of rooms or directors of marketing, walk your property, walk around, see where there could be something, because ideas will come.
They do.
And sometimes I think it's hard to get out from behind the desk when you're just trying to get through the inbox.
Yeah.
But it can be so helpful.
Yes. But I think that adds it's an enriching experience to do that. Like to walk your pool deck and be like, what are people doing here? What kind of problems do they have? Because I did this with one hotel, and I said, moms have locked down their lounge chairs. So when it comes to snack time, they don't want to leave because they're gonna the kids are playing in the pool, the parents are on the deck or whatever. Nobody wants to give up their spot, their territory, right? So how can we help them get what they need at that time? And it's like, oh, popsicle cart. Let's bring a little popsicle cart through, and it's fun and it's Insta-worthy and it's all. I think that there's some fun things hoteliers could be doing.
I love that. We were traveling over in between Christmas and New Year's, so kind of a dead period. There's a couple days where everything kind of dips down, and there was a really busy check-in time though, and we were just standing in the lobby, and someone came out from the concierge desk and they said, "Oh, have you seen our holiday lounge?" And we said, "No." And they're like, "Oh, let us show you." So they just had a banquet space right off of the lobby that was just, not being used. And they had a projector up playing a Christmas movie. It was like Home Alone or something. Had some games for kids, had a little popcorn machine, brought in some extra couches and some seating. And you could just sit in there and wait while your kids played while you were waiting for your room.
Brilliant.
And they were like, "We'll take your bags." They had it was amazing. And so just thinking about this space was just sitting here. I'm sure the cost to do it was pretty, it wasn't like staffed. They had people coming in, every couple hours to check on it, but just something simple that really made such an impact.
Yeah. And then your staff can actually feel I think there's a sense of pride that rises up in the team when they're like, we're actually taking, what could be a less desirable scenario that could affect the rest of their time with us. And we've turned it into something fun.
Yeah. It's so fun. Looking 5 to 10 years out, and I know who knows really what's going to happen because of AI. But do you think there is a world where direct bookings potentially outpace OTAs? Or is that wishful thinking?
Yeah, I remember this like quote coming out from Skift, right? Like, forget when it was. And I just thought to myself, I so want to believe that.
Yeah.
But the and we think about the OTAs, and how they're not right. Like they don't want to give up any market share.
Yeah.
But I think what we're seeing is signs that they are threatened. Yeah. When we do see them stepping out into booking.com and they're reaching tentacles, I'll just say that. Like they're reaching further into different platforms and partnerships. I think it's out of what they see coming. Yeah. So do I think that direct is going to outpace OTAs? I think it has great potential. I think there will be operators who will experience that. Yeah. It'll be the operators that are getting
exciting times.
Getting ready right now.
Yeah.
And like, not that they have to do a lot if they've already made some good foundational investments, but it's getting ready now for what's coming. Getting booking systems ready is going to be a big one that's up for discussion next. But I think some operators are going to experience that and others aren't. I don't think it's going to be an industry-wide, like direct bookings have swept OTAs. I think it's going to be some people's experience, but some hoteliers' experience, but not others.
Not others. Well, it is exciting just to see, even if that margin just shrinks, it will still be exciting to see that.
We'll stand on the hilltop.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So you've talked a lot about just really connecting on a human level with the hotel's customer base and understanding what they need. And so wanted to talk a little bit about kind of the human side of marketing. And you often emphasize clarity in messaging. What makes a hotel's messaging sound human or have a human feeling versus super corporate? And do you have any tips?
Yeah. I call it you copy. Like, so I think the technical term is like reader first, right? Where we're not saying, we're removing the we's and I's from our website and from our messaging. So it's not about our story, it's about their story.
I love that.
And this is where that quote of like, we have a love affair with our own product. It's what we want to talk about. But, and we look to our competitors, but it's really about the guest. It is putting the guest first. Earlier this week, I hosted a session, like how to get ready for AI. And, I talked about the pressure and all the noise and the noise of like, will AI replace marketers? And the one skill that, like good marketers are great at is empathy. And I think we're able to like sit in the shoes of what's that mom? Like, we talked about that mother at the poolside.
Yep.
What are you actually experiencing in those moments? What are her concerns, fears, desires, and that ability? Like, yes, you can chat GPT it, but really the depth of that is going to be the difference.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in terms of how we dial in messaging, it's all about them. It's all about the guest.
All about the guest. Mm-hmm. I'm sure when people hear this, they're going to run to their website and say, how many eyes do I have? We's and eyes do I have?
Yeah.
And such an easy thing to tweak. I mean,
take your page, put it into ChatGPT, say, turn all of this into reader first copy.
I love it.
Yeah.
Such an easy lift that would make a big impact.
Yes. And then once you see it, right? Then you can't unsee it.
Yeah.
Like you read it everywhere. Yeah.
Yeah. Totally. Okay. What is one small shift that really any hotel could make today to connect more meaningful with potential guests?
One small shift.
Maybe it is just stepping out from behind their desk, walking the property.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, there's a ton. My mind is racing with ideas. One small shift. I It's important to understand the guest journey. I know it's a bigger job to look at the guest journey and say, like, where is the friction? But if you can remove one point of friction, just, you see something and you're like, I think we could do better on that. Like whether that's your booking system, whether that's you have 8 room types or 8 different rate plans and 14 different room types. It's very hard for people to make decisions. It's very hard for people to choose you. Where can we remove some of the friction? How can we make things easier? And I know that's not like the silver bullet. There's not like one particular tip, but I know that everybody has a place where they're like, yeah,
that could be
there's
smoother.
Frictions like in this or in our front desk or in how we do this. That,
look for those areas.
Yeah.
Genius. Yeah. Now I'm thinking, okay, what's one small area we could remove some friction?
Yes.
But it's good to think about that. I mean, and in all things, how maybe we can do it because we are in there all the time or we understand it. It seems clear to us, but have someone really who's never seen it sit down, do it, and get a really good understanding if you're not sure.
Yeah. I remember
we do that. Well,
challenging, like, when was the last time you looked at your website on mobile, right?
Yeah.
Like if you haven't done that in a while, that's a good place to start.
Yeah. Well, and I think sometimes you, as the operator, you do it all from the back end or your team does it, gets it all set up. And so you think, oh no, I've been looking, but you almost lose a little bit of what it's like because you're in there so much looking at it all the time. You can't really see it. It's like if you change your website copy, that's all you can see now. You can't see it any other way.
Yes.
So, yeah.
And guest journey mapping can just be as easy as like a pen and a pad of sticky notes and just say like person comes to the website, then they do this, then they do this, then they do this. And where are things dropping off? That's from a marketing lens. Yeah.
Yeah. But at least just to have a really clear understanding of what they're going through. I love it. All right. So switching from the human side of things more to the tactical side of things, in your recent work, what tools or tech upgrades have you seen make the biggest difference in supporting direct bookings? And I know not all tech you have to have. There's things we can do without it. But if you were to make a recommendation, what would be your favorite things?
Well, the two that come to mind is like booking engine, like a really, it's really I talk a lot about getting ready for AI in your marketing. But if we're putting all of this effort into getting ready, like in getting found and cited in the LLMs, but your booking engine is bouncing or not able to like provide, because eventually, all booking systems or most are going to need to provide availability rates and inventory. Yeah. And without that, all the effort, is going to be like not for naught, but eventually the traveler is going to be like expecting their agent to book. Yeah. And that's where we're going. So getting those booking systems, I think, is going to be the biggest thing for direct bookings. And then once they're in, that CRM. Yeah. That CRM is going to be your like source of truth for your repeat business, for the health of your database, for remarketing abilities, for customer lifetime values. Yes, it's going to be a big piece.
Yeah. And not to put you on the spot, so if you don't want to call out any of the companies by name, no problem. But are there a handful that you typically recommend, or one that you've worked with and really like their functionality, that when you start working with a new hotel client, you say, I think you should look at this. This is my recommendation for your booking engine.
Yes, booking engines I have not found. I
Okay.
haven't done a deep dive there. The
Yeah.
clients that I'm working with currently, it's at the forefront of
Yeah.
what they're looking at.
Yeah.
Muse has come up in conversations. And we currently I'm pretty picky though, because like as a hotel manager, I think I was like, yay, we have this. Like, yes, we've got this checked off.
Yeah.
But in my role in marketing, I like to reduce their risk. I like to be really picky about things that we work with. And I think for the most part, there's a lot of tech that gets you to 75%, but you're not going to get, 100% of everything that you want. And, but yeah, I've used Revenate largely in email marketing, and the CRM, but I know that there is a lot of others emerging. And, I'm just really, trying to stay in touch and look at like who's out there, who's doing what. And then, sometimes it's the smaller startups that have maybe come in from outside of the hospitality industry. And I'm interested in what did they see?
Yeah. As an opportunity. They're marketing into the gap.
Exactly.
Love it.
Whereas maybe some legacy, tech companies have, built these big machines, but, they're just not solving for where we're all at right now.
Yeah, there's such a benefit to being in it and really understanding the industry, but also such a benefit to look at it from the outside in to say, hey, why don't you guys try this?
Yes.
And I think hospitality specifically, it's really, we're slow moving to change technology because it affects so much. And so it can be a little overwhelming to think about doing that, but could ultimately be super beneficial. So good advice to look there first, see what's working there.
I've had some interesting conversations with some, like a company like Directful.
Yeah. Okay.
That's working on like the OTA unmasking, which is really interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. And they're seeing a lot of success with doing that and getting the contact?
And they're really like gaining some momentum. So
that's exciting.
I'm looking at what's happening. There's lots of stuff in guest experience. There's like every category, there's something new. So that's happening.
Well, that's perfect, because that led me right into what we wanted to talk about. Lastly, was just looking forward, and so as we're seeing new things emerge, are there any additional trends or shifts that you're watching that you think will surprise the industry?
Well, yesterday, actually, I shared on LinkedIn, like a stat that I had read on Hospitality Net. It was a quote from Max Starkov about the AI bots are using. I think it was AI bots pulling 25% of the information from hotel websites.
Interesting.
And I thought, okay, so that means, so anyways, and anytime I get a stat, I start to like process.
Yeah.
What is that?
How can we use this?
What does that mean? And then where is the opportunity? Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, when I think about like, and I think this is going to change. I don't think it's maybe always going to be 25%. So I think we also need to say, well, as things change at this pace we're changing.
Yeah.
So 25% of AI answers are sourced from a hotel's website. Okay. Well, does that mean that stat is based on hotels' websites as they exist now?
Yeah.
And if that means as they exist now, I think for the most part, hotel websites aren't ready.
Yeah.
And so we haven't gone deep enough in terms of what AI is looking for, and incorporated reviews and great stories and deep knowledge and expertise and authority and so on. And I think that there's a great opportunity for hotel websites to get to that place that we talked about where it was like, wow, the guest is learning so much. It's not just about making a e-commerce transaction. It's really about a connection with the place and space. So I think there's an opportunity for hotel websites to be higher than the 25%. Oh,
yeah. Because if they get their website to a place where you're thinking that they can get to,
yes.
Then what are we looking at? 50%?
Yes.
75%? How much information can we be giving them?
Sure. And that's the opportunity. That's what I think the opportunity is. Now, if we don't take action, what's it relying on? It's relying on third party, PR, guest reviews, how we're responding to those reviews, Reddit, YouTube. How are we doing there?
Oh, Reddit. Yes.
Right. Like how are we doing in all of those places?
Yeah.
And, I think if we haven't started with our website, all of the external, like third-party systems that we have out there with our listings and our information on them, historically have all pointed to the website. Yeah. So I think the website still will continue being that hub. And I don't know if that directly answers your question, but it's some of things I'm processing and thinking about.
Well, and I think everyone wants to have a really great website, and you have so much more control. Start with your website where you can control what you put on there. You can't control what people are saying on Reddit. You can't, there's the other areas have such variables. So if you can really control what you're sharing across your website, do that first. Then see what happens.
Yes.
Good place to start.
For sure. Yeah.
All right. And just some fun things to wrap it up. What's one campaign or strategy shift, yours or maybe someone else's, that made you think, yes, this is the future of hotel marketing?
Oh, well, it's not new. I think a lot of success comes from doing things right.
Yeah.
Doing the right things well. Not everything. And I do think that the influencer, like creator, the BOPA, borrowing other people's audiences, is really because it sort of checks all those boxes that we just talked about, Rachel. Where like it's okay. Now we have fairly unbiased, right? Somebody's experienced this property. It's a third party mention. It's getting an endorsement. It's getting a unique view. So I think that, influencer partnerships are really big that way. And sort of going back to like thinking way back in the day about having that travel writer visiting your property, like that's only come all the way around.
Yep.
So,
and I'm sure they're cheering like, see, we're still valuable.
Yeah. So I think that's like, if we think about how AI is going to find our hotels, and then, where do we need to be? What do we need to be moving on? I think those are probably two. And like the PR person, again, really important. Like how do they get, those are the folks, like, it's not an area of my expertise. So how do you get out in those publications and in those partnerships and into other people's audiences?
Yeah. And I think we used to think about that as being so important for SEO. Got to get that backlink and, which it still is. But now it's a whole different scale with AI. True. It's just another place. It's scraping for information and all the things. All right. And then lastly, for any fellow hoteliers that are listening who might be feeling overwhelmed by all the marketing shoulds, and you touched on this a little bit at the beginning, but what's your advice for finding clarity in the chaos, or just a few things that this is just what you should focus on?
Well, you can look at, like, it's a forest and trees scenario, I think, because they're like, how, from a starting place of the question is, how can I make things better? Yeah. we really need to finish that sentence. So look at it and say, how can I make things better in OTAs? How can I make things better in direct bookings? When we try and say, how can we make things better? It becomes overwhelming. It's too big.
Yeah.
But if we were to say, like, how can I narrow the view and be focused, you're going to have better results. A quote that I like that I learned a while ago is, diluted focus is diluted results. So
Love it.
more focus on what can you change. So if that's your website, if you're trying to impact direct bookings, like, look there. And then, as I said earlier, have a starting point of metrics so that you know if you're hitting the mark. If you've got an OTA contribution in your hotel that you're unhappy with, maybe it's 62%, and you'd like to see it at 55, well, you're starting at 62, you're aiming to 55. What's everything you need to do
To get there?
It becomes more manageable, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think sometimes we don't want to have to, like, oh, I just already have the goal in my mind, but writing it down, I'm kind of the first part of that where I'm like, no, I know what the goal is. And Trey, who, he is like, no, we start our meetings with reviewing our goals, marking them off. It's so great when we can mark them off as completed or, they're green. We hit that one. And it shifts something where you're like, okay, yes, I did that. Okay, moving on to the next. And it just helps keep the momentum really to keep going.
Yes. And then once you get there, you're like, yay. Okay.
Yeah.
Do we want to go from 55 to 50? Now that we know, like, how can we keep the flywheel going? Yeah. Or do we look at something else?
Yeah.
Don't try and eat the elephant in one bite. Like, that's just, it's too much.
Well, and you're just, the list is never ending of things that need your attention, especially in a hotel. And so pick the thing that you can do now or your team can do now, one thing at a time, mark it off the list, and eventually things start going in the right direction.
Yes. And especially this time of year, like, we're in, the end of September right now, and people are going to be planning. Well, they've probably already started planning budgets and plans. And just remember, like, it's 12 months.
Yeah.
Because I've done that. I have packed in a lot of stuff and then really felt like a deflated balloon at the end of it all. And it's like, well, because I bit off more than I could chew. And so.
Yeah. Love it. Well, Christine, thank you so much for being on with us today. If anyone listening wants to reach out to you for consulting or coaching or come to some of your webinars, where's the best place for them to stay updated on all of your amazing offerings?
Yes, best place to visit is malfairmarketing.com. It's spelled Malfair.
Perfect. Yes. And if you don't follow Christine, we highly recommend following her on LinkedIn because her insights are great. She shares so many fun things. So we are just so happy to have had you on. And if you want to check out more Foundry Talks, you can find us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts.
That's awesome. Thanks, Rachel.
Absolutely.